Hello, guys, and welcome back to season 2 of the Suddenly Twenties Podcast. Yay!
We're back.
It is the 2022, and today we are recording episode 1 of season 2. So we're so excited to be back and recording and back into the swing of things. But it was nice to have a little bit of a break. Yeah. And today we're just going to have a chit chat with you guys, give some life updates and New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. This is going to be like a super casual episode just to get back into the swing of things. But yeah, we're going to give you a bit of a life update, what we got up to while we were away. One of those things being COVID. So we're going to give you our full experience on having COVID and our isolation together. And yeah, just like some New Year's resolutions, some goals and some podcast updates. So stay around to hear those at the end because we do have a couple of updates. We were meant to come back a little bit ago, but life got in the way, so we are excited to be back. But when we left, that was like mid-December, so we had Christmas. I had Christmas with my family, you had Christmas with yours, and then we had New Year's together after 9 months of not seeing each other. Long distance besties. Yes. 9 months we finally saw each other. Hopefully this year won't be that long. I don't think it's going to be that long. Yay. But
yeah, well, we've got lots of events this year, like weddings and things
sort of
like that, so that'll bring us together.
Yeah, and I hope that this year it's easier to travel as well. So like last year we just couldn't.
I mean so
with the border and stuff,
there was 6 months just taken away from us last year in lockdown.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
9 months is pretty good. If you were to minus 6, that's only 3, and that's kind of what I'd like to keep going this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so keen. But and then so Steph came up here for New Year's, and same with a few of our other friends. A nice GC holiday kind of vibe for you guys up here, which stopped pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if you guys know the Burleigh Pavilion, we had New Year's there, and I think we were thinking, it's a bit obviously risky going out at New Year's, considering the Queensland border just opened and COVID was everywhere.
And Omicron, what is it? Omicron? Yeah. I call it Omicron, so we're just going to have to deal with that.
I do too, Omicron. It's just such a funny word.
I don't care. I'm literally... Omicron is weird. I can't get it out of my mouth. So anyway, Omicron variant had just started taking off. I'd say it kind of dawned on me how serious it was getting a week before Christmas, and even leading up to Christmas. I think it was the Wednesday. I was working until Friday, which was Christmas Eve, and I get a text, and I'd been out to a bar on the Friday beforehand, and I was a close contact, needed to go. Oh, no, sorry. I was a casual contact, needed to go get tested. So things were getting pretty serious, and the case numbers were rising pretty rapidly. Yeah. And I just saw all over TikTok. I don't know about you, Shana. I saw all over TikTok, people being I need to get up to Queensland and I can't because I haven't got my results back, or this person has COVID and it was ruining everything.
Yeah, all the testing and stuff. And that I think a lot of people can relate. Before Christmas, it was just but then again, I think a lot of people did get it over Christmas, which is so sad. I think a lot of us were I just need to make it through Christmas to see family and stuff. Or that was what was going through my head. I was I just need to make it to when I go to coughs. Yeah. And then after that, I'm okay. So lucky, very grateful and lucky that I was able to go home and see family now that the border did open, which was almost a year since I'd seen my family, which compared to other people isn't even that long. People have not been able to see their family for years. So
I mean, a year is a year is a long time.
And I mean, we're only not even 3 hours away. How weird is that?
But you've got a border between you. Yeah.
So that was really good. We got to go home, and then it was after Christmas. We were all safe during that time. And then after Christmas, we're okay, we just need to make it to New Year's because we had all of you guys coming up, and I was oh my God, this is such a stressful time trying to not do anything over Christmas and going home. We didn't do anything. We just were with family pretty much inside because it was just Omicron was taking off. But we got up to Queensland. Everyone got up to Queensland. And then
finally, after a tedious process of driving 12 hours and avoiding places and people and touching things, and like we'd go into the bathroom at a stop and I was like, hand sanitizer, mask, double mask, don't breathe, just hold your breath.
And you guys all had to be tested before you came into Queensland. That was when you had to have a negative before coming into Queensland. And actually a few of our friends were meant to come up and their travel PCR tests come back positive and they had like no symptoms. So some people couldn't even come up and they didn't even know they had COVID. So lucky they got the travel test. Otherwise they wouldn't have even known really. But yes, most of us made it up to Queensland. Steph and Sam were staying with us. And then I think we had 2 days. I think that was like the 29th. Yeah, the 29th. So we had like 2 days in the Gold Coast before New Year's. And I think all of us were a bit like, no, like we didn't know whether to go out or not because like it was everywhere. And especially with the border opening, it was just like spread so quick because like it hadn't been in Queensland for so long. But that was bound to happen. So
yeah, I think we avoided a lot of places. Yeah. Like we were very conscious about whether we should just go buy food and cook it at home so that we could go out on New Year's, if we're to be completely honest. Yeah. It was like we just wanted to make it to New Year's. Like we'd had, especially like being in lockdown for 3 or 4 months, like I was just like, I just want to celebrate with friends I haven't seen in ages and like, you know, and get to that and then deal with whatever comes after.
Yeah, and I think, Shay was in the same mindset as well. I mean, a few of our friends didn't come to the pavilion just because it was kind of like if you went, you were 100% going to get it. It's one of the most busiest places on the Gold Coast. So I think we were all like, all right, are we going to just stay at home and not do anything for like, I guess the rest of our, like not live our life, which I guess you can't do. And I think that's becoming normal now. Like COVID's becoming more like normal in our society in a way that where people are starting to like go out and like just be cautious. But so we were all like, all right, we're going to have a good time. If we get it, we get it. We're going to do as much as we can to not get it. Like we wore our masks. We were still like, even when we got there, like we were only at our table, but it's just like, you just catch it so easily, I guess, with the lineups and the bar and the toilets and stuff. But
I definitely felt like pretty anxious about it.
Yeah,
like,
no, same.
I don't know. I think it was more just that I knew how stupid it was that we were going out. Like, and like being there, I would have thought maybe there'd be some form of like, you know, monitoring,
there was nothing.
Social distancing. There was nothing. It was like before COVID or, you know, when there's no cases rising.
You just had to show you a bubble bath, really. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's great. But I remember standing in the line to get a drink and these 2 guys came up to me and they were like, you don't need to wear your mask. Like, just don't worry about it. And I was like, I don't want to get COVID. And they were like, they weren't being rude, but they were kind of like, you know, like, you don't need to wear it, whatever. And I don't reckon it was in some like anti-vax way, but I was just like, I know I look like a freaking idiot wearing my mask, but because no one else was wearing their mask when they were in there, like in the line getting drinks. I was like, I'm not wearing it at the table when I'm sipping on a drink, but if I'm lining up on my own, like, you know, in a crowded room surrounding the bar, I was like, of course I'm going to wear it. And I just like people, I don't know. I was just like, that's at least me trying to be a bit extra cautious as
I was like
to get the drink.
The same. Like I was like the night before I was like super anxious because I was like, we're getting COVID tomorrow, like kind of thing. But in the back of my mind, I was like, but no, we're not going to get it. Like it's fine.
Yeah, like that's never going to happen to us.
Yeah, I'm like,
we'll never get it.
It won't be there, whatevs. But then in the front of my mind, I was like, we're getting it. And I think I was just so anxious because it affects everyone differently and like the after effects, you don't know what, like how it's going to affect you and all that. So that's why I was anxious. But then on like, when I was actually there, because when we got there, like the Burleigh Pavilion can get so busy, like everyone knows. But when we first got there, it wasn't too busy. Like everyone wasn't on top of each other. They were just like at their table. So I was like, okay, this isn't too bad. Like we're kind of all spread out. And so it made me feel a bit better. And then, yeah, I think just, I was like, no one has COVID here. Like, what do you mean? And then, yeah, 2 days later.
Yeah. Like I literally was like, I was pretty paranoid. I'd say I was in a decently anxious mindset. And, you know, when you go in and like you start drinking, it was one of those nights where I still reflect and I know I had lots of fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like not fully myself because I was like just in my head about lots of different things. And like there were certain interactions that happened on that night that made me need to leave and go get some fresh air because I just felt like totally overwhelmed. And Shana very kindly came and spoke with me for like an hour. But like just sitting outside, like I went behind and sat on the beach.
But we
by
got there
myself,
for, like so early that like I feel like I needed to get out. We got there at 6.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And we were praying
I
like
can't do that.
5 hours before that. Like, oh.
We literally started drinking at 12.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say I was that drunk. Like it was more just that I like get tired and like I was like anxious about COVID and then like people were saying weird things to me and I just felt like my boundaries were like pretty permeable. So I walked out and I just felt overwhelmed and I sat there and like it was so nice and refreshing to just be able to walk out of a bar or a nightclub. It's not a nightclub, and sit on the beach firstly. So I didn't even want to go back in. I was like, this is fun. And then it was just nice to not be surrounded by people who could have COVID. Like I just felt like kind of COVID's turned me into an introvert in a little bit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, have experienced that.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we had a good night. And
we made it till midnight. Home. I think like a few people weren't going to make it, but we got there.
I was not going to make it. I was struggling. Sam was
the worst.
He was so drunk. He was
actually,
bad.
Shay was worse. Like Shay is so weird. You can never predict what he's going to do, like when he's drunk. But he worked before, like that day. He worked a half day that day and got home straight to prees, like, and it was either he is going to be like next level drunk or he's going to crash and burn. And he crashed so hard. I'm not even kidding. He was drunk, but wasn't like being loud or annoying or sloppy. Yeah, he was legit falling asleep at the table. Like he was sitting up, just like closing his eyes. And I was like, you need a drink. And for me to say that to Shay is like saying something because he never needs a drink. So I was like, you need like a Red Bull. So I'm pretty sure someone got him a Red Bull, whatever. And Shay was like on the other end of the spectrum to Sam. Sam was just so drunk.
He was sloppy
That's
drunk.
So
like,
funny.
He was slurring his words and like he was like saying he was going to vomit. So we just had to walk out. Like I was like, let's just go get a kebab down the road. And like it was probably maybe 11:30. And I was like, we'll just go get some food in queue. For sure. Funny enough, there was free food at Burleigh Pav with the tickets we bought. But I was like, you just need like a juicy,
kebab.
Good old like filled up kebab just to get out of there and to stop drinking. Yeah. And like then everyone thankfully came and met us for midnight. But he was not in a good way.
Usually all the time can never tell when Sam's drunk. Like he holds his alcohol, or what I've seen, looks like he can hold it pretty well. Like he's never sloppy. Like and he'll talk to me and he'll be like, I'm so drunk. And I'm like, you're literally talking the same as if you're sober. But oh my God, that night I was like, you're next level.
He's and like if he's that sloppy, he's like bad.
Yeah.
And like I'm fairly sure like both him and Shay vomited like on the grass and stuff like that.
Shay's would have been just like attack, like he.
Yeah, I do not vomit on the night, and if I do, I need to go to hospital. Like it's bad level. Yeah. Like usually it's just the next day when I'm hungover, and I always vomit hungover. But anyway, like fuck, I was really bad, and I don't even notice it. Like I didn't realize how drunk I was until I see Shana's photos of me from
on the beach. Like, we met everyone on the beach, I think, for the fireworks, and we were told there were going to be fireworks in Burleigh, like Burleigh Pav was like the place to be to see the fireworks. Anyway, it's like midnight and you can see fireworks going off like down like up the coast in like Surfers or somewhere, which is tiny to us because we're in Burleigh. And we're like, okay, like when our fireworks going off, and I was like, surely this isn't it. Like they were so far away, they looked like a little dot. And then like a few went off on the beach, maybe like 12:15, right outside Burleigh. But it was like max 15 that went off. So I was like, ooh. I was actually really disappointed. I was like, no, like I think I got the fireworks on video, but it was nothing like it was like made out to be at all. Like I was genuinely disappointed. I was like, I literally stayed for midnight and the fireworks and it was shit.
Yeah.
This is what New Year's has been like for the past 2 years. Like you can't plan anything. You're anxious because COVID's around. Like hopefully now this year, like it won't ever like, I guess, settle down, but like life will start to like move past, I guess, the whole like massive issue of COVID, I guess. Like we're fine the next day or hungover, but and then
we were
I would say like we weren't too bad. I actually can't really remember, but
neither.
Anyway,
it's all a blur.
It's actually the biggest blur ever. But then on Monday, I think one of the people we did prees with tested positive on a rapid test, and we were like, no. So then at this point you couldn't even get rapid tests, you couldn't even get PCR tests, so it was the biggest like shit fight. And so we heard from him, and then we were like, okay, where at this point it was like you're only a close contact if you were at their house for 4 hours, and we're like, we technically were at his house for 1, but he came to the pub, so I don't know. Like it was the big word line, and I think everyone could agree like that. It was so messy at that time, like with all the rules and stuff. But we ended up getting rapid tests, and we were all negative.
So we got 10 rapids, like a packet of 10, and there were 5 of us in Shana's house. So there's Shana, Shay, and then her sister Remy, and then me and Sam. So we had 2 each essentially, and we did it all on the Monday. And we thought at the time, I'll add in the clip. Also, I'm making a vlog on like having COVID. It's going to be posted today or tomorrow. So like go watch that. I'll add it in the link to the show notes and stuff. So you can actually see like I recorded us doing the first tests and when I tested positive, which we'll get to. But we thought Shay would have it.
He was showing symptoms. Like, he had a cough and he had a fever. Well, like he felt hot, but like Shay, we just didn't know. And then as soon as we got that message that our friend was positive, we were like, Shay just couldn't stop coughing. And then because it was, you were back at home and it was Shay, Sam and I, and we were at the beach, and we were just sitting in the car and we were like, Shay, get in the back. Even though we had been around Shay for the last 2 days or like for the last however long, we were like, get in the back, put a mask on. We were like, no, you have COVID. We don't. We're sitting in the front. And it was so funny. And then every time one of us would cough, we'd look at each other being like, no. Like it was so funny. And we ended up getting rapids on our way home, and came straight home, did a test. And then we were all negative. So, but then we kept, and we were shocked that Shay was negative because he actually had a cough and stuff. So, we were shocked.
And do you reckon you had any symptoms at that
point?
I
had no symptoms. I don't think any one of us had symptoms besides Shay at that point.
Like my symptoms are funny, right? So I literally, like, as Shana said, I wasn't there at the beach with them when we found out that this person we had prees with had COVID, and I was filming YouTube videos. So like Shana calls me eventually and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, we're going to get rapids. And I was like, all right, like, you know, and she's like, have you not read the group chat? And I'm like, got to scroll a few things back because it's our whole New Year's chat being like, we need these, let's do that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh shit. And then I saw a message from Elle who was like, I've got a bit of a sore throat. And I literally thought to myself, oh, thank God. Like, I don't have a sore throat. I don't have anything. And I like swallowed. I kid you fucking not. I swallowed and I was like, oh shit. I literally like instantly read it and I had a sore throat and I was like, I have to have placeboed that. I made it up in my head. Like, and my symptoms from there, I just started like having a sore throat and like we all do the test and I'm negative, and I'm like, can you fucking stop, Steph? Like, you're making this worse. Like, you're creating it in your head. My throat's sore, and I was just like, oh shit.
And so I think after that we were like, okay, we're negative. We're going to test tomorrow as well, in case we're just like not showing up, because at this point a few more people that were at the PAV and in our friendship group were testing positive. So we're like, okay, we'll test tomorrow. And then we were going to wait till like the night. So I think the boys were out and Steph started getting more symptoms, and I was like, no, it's just in Steph's head, like, it's fine.
Yeah, everyone was telling me it was in my head. I was telling myself that. I was like, can you stop? Like, sometimes I just can't control my thoughts, and I was like actually getting the shits with myself. I was like, fuck off. Like, you're pissing me off, Steph. Like, stop it.
But what were you feeling?
I like woke up in the middle of the night with a killer headache. But also, in saying that, I've had really bad TMJ problems. So, like, I get headaches often, you know. So, and also, like, we were run down.
Yeah. It was
hot.
So like, hot.
I just, like, and while the circumstances were kind of indicating that, I was like, you're also probably making it up in your head because you weren't sick until you read someone saying they had a sore throat and you're just fucking insane. So, like, that's all I had was a sore throat and a headache. And we got up and I took some Panadol or maybe cold and flu tablets, I think. And, like, I was actually fine, like, after that. Yeah. So, you know, I don't think we went and did much, but we went to the pool and, like, and it was all distance. Like, we were conscious
and we wore masks everywhere that day because we're negative. So, essentially, we could leave, like...
And we followed the law.
Yeah, and then we actually didn't even go out much. I think the boys had golf planned, which is like all social distance. You had to wear masks anyway. And I think we just like went to the pool and chilled out a bit. And then that afternoon, you started to get like more of your symptoms again, I think.
Yeah, like we went to the pool. I was pretty tired too, like just feeling a bit fatigued, but I don't know, like I just don't feel 100% any day.
So I've seen so many TikToks that are like, I've just got a headache because of like my TMJ. I'm just tired because I'm like run down, but it's all COVID. I'm like, that was literally us.
That was, and like, so we went and I think we started watching the Harry Potter reunion, and I was lying there on the couch, had my head on Sam's lap, and they were about to go to
At this point, golf. We actually kind of forgot about it. I think you were just in your corner like, fuck, and like hadn't said anything. And then you like said one thing and we were like all like Remy and I looked at you and going, no.
Yeah, like, because I was just kind of keeping it. Like, I think I was being like, I just thought I was being dramatic, which is just me. And like, so I wasn't really saying it. Or maybe I said like, I have a headache, but everyone was kind of saying that. And no one like really knew what I was feeling. And it was when we were watching the Harry Potter reunion that I quite literally started getting body aches. Like, it went from fatigue in like, you know, feeling tired kind of in my head to like my whole body. And I was lying there like, it's just, you're just tired, like whatever, you know, it's hot. And then I started getting goosebumps and shivering, and I was like, oh my God, holy shit. And I was like, nah, ignore it. Like, we kept watching it. Sam and stuff got up to go to golf, and I was like, nah, like, and I think the second they left, I just was like lying there, and I no longer had the comfort of Sam to like feel sorry for myself. And I was like, girls, I need to do a fucking test. I have COVID. Like, and I just instantly went from I'm creating it in my head to the second I started getting body aches, and like, I don't know if you call it a fever, but it was the chills. I was like hot, but I was cold and shivering.
That's
and
more of the chills. Like fever, you're just flat out hot going through the roof.
Yeah. And so I was just like, nah, fuck, like I have to do it. And they just looked at me, and I think you guys still didn't believe me.
Like, no.
And just,
we were trying to be positive, like, no. But so we got you to do a test. And at this point, like, we didn't like say anything to the boys or anything because they were literally at golf. And Steph does a test, and it's like, wait 10 minutes. And so when it went up, it was like full negative, and we're like, okay. And then like Remy grabs it after like probably 5 minutes, and it's like the faintest line. Like, I even looked at it and I was like, no, like that's not even a line kind of thing. And then it started getting darker and darker, and I'll show you the photo if you're watching our YouTube video. I'm just going to show the screen. I don't know if you can like see the two lines.
You can also send it to me.
Yeah.
And I'll put it in.
And there's two lines, like the COVID positive one was like, is faint, but it's 100% there. And Steph's standing there going, like, I think it's negative. Like, that's not a line. And it's like a full faint line. And we're like, this is a fuck. So, like, from that point on, we're like, okay, like, no longer leave the house. Oh. So, yeah, we called the boys.
Nah.
And they came home, and that was the beginning of our isolation from that Monday. So
7 days.
We all tested again, the rest of us, and we were all negative still.
So on that day, we thought, like, okay, like, if I've got it, Shay's going to be positive because he was sick before me.
He was negative again, and at this point I think he still had a cough, a bit of a fever, but he was like better, like already, like he was already getting better. I didn't have any symptoms. Sam didn't have any symptoms. Remy, I don't think, had much to like complain about either. And so we're all negative, and we're like, okay, does Steph isolate in one room, or do we let her out of her corner? Yeah. But then we're like, we've been around you.
We did not know what to do.
We've been around you for like the last week. Like, if you haven't, we haven't. Like, you know what I mean? You're probably just the first one to show. And so...
And we all had to isolate for 7 days anyway.
Yeah. So like... Yeah. And then that was like a public holiday, so we couldn't even get PCRs or anything. But then on the Tuesday, we're like, all right, line up to get PCRs. And the lines were so long. Like, it was like 6 a.m. and they were like...
We went at like... Yeah, we went so early.
Yeah, everyone that needed to get a test this day will understand, like, it was that long that we just turned around. We're like, we can't sit there. By the time we get to the front, it will have been like 8 hours, and they would turn us away because they wouldn't have any tests left. So we just came back home, and we didn't really do much in isolation. I was like, I need to keep my nutrients up. I'm not getting fucked over by this. So I was like making smoothies and having like a Hydralyte every day, because I was like, nah, I'm trying to drink so much water. Not really much happened on Tuesday. I think Remy started to get a few more symptoms. I think she ended up having over like the 7 days she had like a bit of a headache and tired and stuff, and she did get body aches one day. But she was like it felt like she was like a few days behind Steph. Like, she didn't show up for ages. Yeah. But then I think on the Wednesday I felt like really tired. I felt my symptoms were just, I had like a head cold. So I felt really congested, like at the top of like my nose, like just like a blocked nose kind of thing. And like I had a little tickle in my throat, but it never progressed like into a cough or anything. And then I just took Codral, I think, for like 2 nights. And then I think like my blocked nose went away, but like kind of blocked my ears a little bit, just like one of those typical head colds. That's all I kind of really had the whole time, which I'm pretty lucky. Like, it wasn't bad at all. Touch wood. I don't ever get it again. But, it was definitely just felt like a head cold. But, yeah, you were a little different though, Steph.
Yeah, so my experience was like when I tested positive was just the beginning. Like, I wouldn't say just as a like overview, I would not say I had a bad experience. I was not bedridden, but I was still pretty sick.
I thought I was negative. I was like, there's no way this is COVID. Yeah. Like, I feel like I have a cold. Like, I think I'm just negative, but then I'm like, nah, I'm sick. Like, I'm going to be positive. Yeah, I was convinced I was negative. I was like, nah, I just got a cold. Like, because the flu was going around at the same time. I was like, nah, I've just got a cold. But then I'm like, no, Steph's in the house. I've got it.
Yeah.
But
I tested because I had body pains and like the chills. Like, I was getting goosebumps and
that's the
stuff.
worst. The chills suck and body aches suck. It's not fun.
Yeah. And like upon reflection, like, you know, it's been 3 weeks or so since then, and I think I was worse than I realized. Like, it actually threw me, like, I think I was like fatigued to the point where like it then impacted my mental health moving forward, because I'm like a very busy person and I like literally couldn't do anything, and it takes a lot for me not to be able to like edit my videos. I had like 6 videos I needed to edit, and I couldn't even like sit there for 7 days doing
You definitely
nothing
were the
and edit.
worst, like symptoms. Sam had nothing the whole time. I had a cold. Fine. That was like literally. Shay had those 2 first days. He was better by the 3rd day.
Yeah.
Like, it was so weird.
It's so weird. In saying that though, guys, I am immune compromised, so I'm not sure if that might have played into it a little bit. Like, I'd say that's also why I showed up first, because like everyone maybe was able to like fight the symptoms coming when you are then infectious, but I think it just took me from the beginning. And I just want to say that I'm so fucking grateful that I'm immune compromised. I got COVID, definitely the Omicron variant, but like I had a very good experience for someone that is immune compromised. So I was worse than, I'm double vaxxed, but I would say I was like worse than you guys who obviously have competent immune systems.
I think we can all say we were we're very grateful that it did not it was not a bad experience for us. And because for a lot of people it has been, and it's like surreal how bad, like in hospitals and ICU, like has been for some people. Yeah. So the fact that we were all okay and like healthy through most of it and now are fine. We're very grateful for that.
I was also very grateful. I just feel like mentioning that like we were in the circumstances that we were. Like Sam and I were staying with you guys. We didn't need to pay for accommodation. Like
we were at home and we had each other. Like we weren't isolated by ourselves. Like doing a week in a room by yourself, like that's so hard.
And that you have like a little yard as well. Like if it was an apartment, I would have hated my life. Like at least we could go out and like sit on the couch and get some sun. Not that I really wanted to do that because I was so fucking hot all the time. But like I'd say the worst for me as well was at nighttime. Like I would get night sweats, and I know this like is gross, Shana. I swear I washed the sheets like 3 times, but I would wake up in a puddle of sweat. Like it would be on the bed sheets. And I was just like, that's
and that's a common experience from it as well.
Yeah, like I don't know if you call it night sweats or whatever, but like I was just so hot. Like I was so hot the whole time. Like I just, I'd say it was the fever. Like I get blood noses when I'm hot too. So I started getting fucking blood noses like every time I'd get like a wave of being hot, and would sit with the ice packs like on my head and stuff. And it was just like, I don't know, it was not fun. And I just think that I didn't realize how sick I felt until I started to feel better. Like the next week when I didn't have like the body aches and the fatigue, I was like, actually worse than I thought, because it comes on kind of slowly that I was like, fuck, the fact that I couldn't edit my videos is enough for me. Like that's fucked. And like I had no motivation even to like do anything. I started sleeping in longer, and like, I don't know, the pattern and the habits of being in isolation too. I think like it really threw me, and I would not be being honest if I said that like January has been a good month for me, because I like felt very stressed after having COVID. Like everything that I'd planned went out the window, and like, you know, like it's just, I'm grateful for the experience. But I just, like, I was ready on the 1st of January. Like, we found out that we needed to get tested after I filmed, like, 3 videos at yours. Like, you know, I was, like, so ready. I did my New Year's resolutions one, which, by the way, if you watched, you can hear how croaky my voice is. Like, so that's, like, right before we found out we had COVID. Yeah. And I don't know, it was just fucked.
But, yeah, you haven't had any, like, long COVID symptoms, do you reckon? You haven't?
I didn't think I did until yesterday, and I had to, for work, move offices, and I can feel like I was out of breath all day yesterday being physically active, like more than I usually would. And I thought I wasn't exercising much this month because I was trying to like get my life back on track and then exercise once everything's sorted. But I haven't actually exercised, and after yesterday I'm a little bit worried that maybe like it's going to be harder for me to do like rigorous exercise. Like I just felt really out of breath yesterday, and I had to like sit down and drink water and felt really dizzy, and I was like, oh fuck. But I don't know,
that's not good. I think REM had like a bit after she like lost her taste, I think, for a couple of days. But like that was fine. And that was like after the infectious part, like we were like out of isolation. And we were in isolation for 9 days because Shay and I went and got a PCR because we needed one to go to work. Like we had to show we had just had to get a PCR. Anyway, we ended up going down. It took like 3 hours, which actually wasn't even too bad considering like other lines. But yeah, and that's when Shay and I came back positive on the Wednesday. So we were in isolation from Monday, and then we had to isolate till the next Wednesday because that was when our PCR, like when we did our PCR. So we were in isolation for 9 days. And yeah, so, but yeah, overall, like, we definitely weren't one of like the worst cases. And yeah, so I'm glad we had like all of us to be together for it and that we like remained pretty healthy through it. But yeah, definitely if you do like have COVID, definitely like try and keep up like your nutrients. Vitamin D is really good, water, like all your veggies and stuff. And like obviously rest. It hits people differently, so it's so hard. But yeah, if you need help, like if you're struggling, definitely call all those helplines as well.
And my other piece of advice is like my main goal was to get out of bed and get out of my pajamas and make the bed. Like I just was like, I have to do that set myself up for the day. And even if I felt shit and sick, like it just made me feel less shit and sick than if I felt sorry for myself in bed all day. And like we didn't do much. I went out and felt sorry for myself playing cards on the couch, but like it's better than sleeping the whole time.
Yeah, we literally just like chilled the whole time, really. The boys like literally watched the cricket the whole time. And then we were playing with your little puppy. And New Year's resolutions. I'm so bad at doing resolutions. Usually it's just like goals, but I guess I just want to keep motivated. It was hard during COVID because like you'd get motivated from all like the changes and stuff. So definitely just want to keep motivated and like not lose like the effort that I put in, because like my motivation levels go up and down. Like I will wake up and I'll be like, I'll do everything that I need to do on my to-do list. I'll be so motivated, do all the content work, like do all that. And then like the next day I'll be like, like I can't really be bothered. And I'm like, how do I just lose that? So my, I guess New Year's resolution is to kind of keep that level. And even if I do feel a bit unmotivated, try and like get a few things done when I can and like keep moving forward. Like I don't want to, like we do so much, for example, for the podcast and we keep moving forward. I don't want to like stop and like plateau. Like I just want to keep going up, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much mine, I guess.
Yeah, mine are pretty much like, I'd say I have 3 main like goals for 2022 or just for my life really, like, and to reflect where I am. And I did film a 2022 like New Year's resolutions video before I got COVID, and I feel like my mind my mindset has shifted since I had COVID and since I filmed that video. And a lot of it is because like, I don't know, I just felt so lethargic and I felt like I needed to like get myself like back into it. And I'm still kind of going through that now. Like it's just, it fucking threw me, honestly. Like it shouldn't have the way that it did, but it threw me. And being tired, like I don't relax. So being tired like impacts all aspects of my life because I'm not used to it. And I just felt like I really fucked up my life. Like, and my mental health was really impacted by it, like not in a bad way. Anyway, my 3 main goals are essentially to like, my first is to establish a healthy routine in my life, like just a kind of like consistent routine, like a morning routine and an evening routine. That, and the way I want to view it is like every single morning and every night I do something that like helps my soul, body and mind. So I've always thought in my head I have to like have a lemon water, meditate, like do this amount of exercise. I don't want to put that pressure on myself. I just want to like be like, have I done something that fuels each of those 3 things? Like even if it's stretching in the morning and that's it.
Just
like
do
and
something.
it might help me. Like and so long as I'm doing that and I don't put this pressure on myself each morning and night,
because those
I think
self-care routines takes effort too. Like you don't want to make the self-care that's meant to be like about you relaxing, about you like connecting back with yourself into like a mission to do. Like you just want to be like, I've done something for myself morning, night. Like I feel good, rather than putting pressure on to like, I need to do this in the morning, and then this in the afternoon, because then it doesn't feel like you're helping yourself. Like it's just like the opposite effect. But
exactly.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to reflect and be like, you know, kind of have like a list of things I know that I can do for my mind, but it doesn't need to be every morning I journal every single morning and every night. And like, I have to do it. And it becomes another thing that actually stresses me
another
out.
thing
And if
on
I don't do
your
it,
to-do
I
list,
then feel guilty.
Yeah.
So I
That's
just
good.
like that's like my goal, and to do it morning and night. So like I'm doing it twice a day, and it's just like establishing habits that make me conscious of like why I'm doing it, which is actually to fuel my body, soul, and mind, rather than like because it's what you do and like it's healthy.
On my to-do list.
And then my second goal is to really focus hard this year on my YouTube, the podcast, and like also this sort of ties into the next one, but like Sam and I are going to start something as well called Wander Together. It's very travel based, and like I want to focus on that. And then also the business, kind of like what you just said, stay motivated and stay consistent. Like I want us to like keep consistently putting effort into the podcast, because I believe that that's when you gain stuff back. It's like, you know, if you, rather than being like 110% motivated, if we keep going at 80%, like we'll see more results
quicker
than if we burn ourselves out. So like I just want to be consistent, and I'm hoping that doing that we'll see results and will be rewarding. And then my third goal is, and this was like discovered, I suppose, after like several stress induced like mental breakdowns and, you know, lots of crying and stuff the last few weeks after having COVID, and it really fucking my routine and my like to-do list. And I was just feeling really overwhelmed by everything. As you know, Shana, like I will admit, guys, like I'm the reason that we had to push the podcast back a week or two, because I just like my to-do list was outrageous. Like I just felt so overwhelmed.
And we all like go through those. Yeah. And I think for you, it was way harder for you to bounce back. Like I was home, you know what I mean? Like and you got hit with COVID worse than I did. Like I kind of stayed motivated, I guess, throughout it, besides like 2 days. So whereas you couldn't keep going with all those goals and stuff because of how you felt, whereas I am grateful that I could. So and then you had to go home and like get back into the swing of things, of
resettle
like,
in.
So
it was exactly like I just there was a lot. And like work, there was a lot going on with work, and like we had to do another thing with our picnic business that I just like wasn't prepared for. So it like really took a whole weekend away from me. So I couldn't like reestablish a little bit in every aspect, like lots of housework to do. And it was just a lot.
Yeah, there's this whole stigma like with like January, you should have like, this is the time you have all your shit together and you're ready to like make this year so good. But then getting like COVID at the start and then like everything, it would have just been like a lot to be like, okay, I just started like my year with just being so overwhelmed and being like behind. You're just behind because of it, really. So
and I felt like progressively really, really, really behind. Like I felt like even though I was putting more effort in, I was like still behind, and it was like overwhelming me. Like I had to get in the car and like I just drove like literally an hour and a half away from home and just cried in the car because I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like I don't understand why I'm so overwhelmed. Like, and
it's literally because of that whole like persona on, I don't even know if that's the right word, of you have your shit together at the beginning of the year. Like it's just, you have no idea what's going to happen. And if this has happened to like, people are probably relating to us being like, oh my God, I had the same thing and now I'm behind and I've had to catch up the whole of January. But now we're at a place where we're ready to go.
Yeah. And like, So the third like New Year's resolution goal thing that came from all of that was I was trying to like really go deep and like figure out why like I feel so overwhelmed. And I think I realized that like COVID has like it having COVID changed my perspective on COVID in this way that like I was just like I feel like we avoided this for so long. And like, yes, it's really bad for some people. It wasn't that bad for us, but the government is changing their view on it. Like, you know, suddenly you have to be with someone for 4 hours in the house to be a close contact, and their perception changing on it is making me like reflect and be like, for 2 years, we have run from this thing, like literally run from this, closed our borders. Like I started feeling like while I was overwhelmed with my current life and like my to-do list, I think a lot of it was stemming from this. Like, I feel like I've lost 2 years of my life. Like I am young and I want to live my life, ties back into our, you know, traveling versus assets thing. I was like, I bought a house, which is great. But like, if it wasn't for, I wouldn't have done that if COVID wasn't a thing. Like, and while I've done this amazing thing, like I still feel like I'm missing all of these memories that I was like ready to do. And so my like thing this year is I want to live with no regrets. Like, and I know that sounds so stupid and like cheesy, but I want to take risks this year.
And I think we've all gotten to that point with COVID as well. Like I think even the government and all of us have realized like we need to live with this now, I guess. And so, and it's scary, but like you're either gonna like sit at home and do nothing, or kind of try and live with it, be as safe as you can, seek like medical help if you need. But I guess that's all we can do.
And I just refuse to lose time.
And I think everyone's the same. Like I hear so many people that are like, I just booked my trip and I'm literally going, I don't care if I can't get back because I've waited 2 years for this.
Let's live our life, bitches.
Let's find
no regrets. Take risks.
Let's get into our podcast goals. So our first one is to collab with other podcasts, and we actually have one like in the works. So that should be happening soon, which is exciting because it's a podcast from overseas. So it'll be super, super cool to do this and get like a whole nother perspective on other things and all that. So I don't want to spoil anything, but that will be super exciting. It'll just, and then our second one, we want to bring on some guests. So in season 2, we already have a few guests coming on that we know, that we think are a good person to bring on for the episode and to get their insight or that have experience or whatever. But we want to get special guests on that we don't know as well, whether that's like a listener, like one of you guys, or someone like in an industry that we're talking about that like is an expert on it or whatever, something like that. So that's exciting. Our third one, just overall more engagement. We want to talk to you guys more, not only like you listen to us on our episodes, but more engagement on our YouTube and our Instagram. And I think right now, this is exciting because right now I checked last night, we've hit, it's over 700 listeners. So our goal is to hit 2,000. I think that's, to get 700 in like 4 months, that's like, and it goes up every single day, and we haven't like even posted an episode for a couple of weeks. So the fact that it's gone up like on my, like our notes right now, it says 600, where we were up to 600. And I did that maybe like a week or 2 ago, and we're already like almost at 800. So it's just going up so quickly, and that's like exciting. And we love you all. So thank you guys for listening. So 2,000 this year, like let's hit that. I think we definitely can.
I reckon we can. I'm excited.
Yeah. And then our last one is to like collab with a brand. So like, we want to, I guess, reach out and have some brands that we love and that you guys will love, and that relate to just what our podcast is about, I guess. So they're our goals, and we have a few updates as well. We will be planning our episodes in advance. So season 1, we kind of put up a question box on Monday asking you guys what topics we should talk about. So we won't be doing the topic box weekly anymore. We will have decided on an episode based on what you guys want to hear, on what's doing well. And on that Monday, it won't be like the topic. It'll be more questions. So we'll be about that episode coming up. So we'll be like, we're talking about this. Send us your questions or dilemmas or whatever. And then we will be posting like a topic box every now and then. So you guys will still be able to make suggestions on what you want to listen to. It just won't be weekly. That's all. And that helps us be able to get like guests on and to be able to plan more of that episode. So we've already planned the next episode, which is so exciting. Do you want to announce it? Because I think you guys are gonna love it because you guys,
So our best performing episode so far from season 1 is the Toxic Friendships episode, and that was like our third one. It's what we launched with, or like not necessarily launched with, but it's the first episode we recorded live. Yeah, and that's how we found this other podcast reached out to us that want to collab with us and like do a podcast together. That was through that episode. So we want to address it again because I feel like it's a topic that we could speak about monthly. You know, like it has a lot to be said, and because you guys liked it, we want to do it again. And this time, we were meant to do this last time, but we didn't. This time we're bringing on guests to address different like areas of toxic friendships. So it'll be really good, and stay tuned, ask questions, send in your scenarios to Instagram.
It'd be interesting hearing your guys like scenarios on toxic friendships, because like we deal with it all the time, as in like people in their 20s deal with it all the time, I guess, because everyone's changing friendship groups, all that. But so Toxic Friendships 2.0 will be happening next week. So we'll post, a question box and stuff and let you guys know in the next couple of days. But that episode in season 1 is still doing, like, it's just skyrocketing. So it's, amazing how far that one is still going. But we definitely were like, we need to do a second episode. So that will be coming next week. But stay tuned for that. And I just want to say thank you guys for listening. I'm so excited to be back. I'm ready to record another episode right now.
I could keep going. I love it.
But thank you guys for sticking by us. We are back. Season 2 has officially started. And there's so much planned. So it's super exciting. Thank you guys for following us, listening, everyone that's continued to listen over the break. Yay!
We'll see you in next week's episode. Love you lots.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.